Veve has sprung many of us into becoming digital collectors, collecting these NFTs, these sets, and more. But has this bled into physical collection? And is this industry actually going to help physical collection or deteriorate it? Let's talk about that. Welcome in everyone, my name's Andy and I appreciate you taking some time out of your day to come watch this video on the channel. Just before we get going, if you are enjoying the content and you want to support me further, you can hit that subscribe button, and if you want to support me further than that, you can join the membership. This is a topic that I think is going to be really interesting, looking over as a case study in the next 10 years or so and seeing how this actually plays out and how this new era can work with the physical collectibles compared to the digital ones as well. So before I actually got into Veve, I had never collected anything in my life. I had Pokemon cards as a kid, I had Yu-Gi-Oh cards, I had some toys, but I never collected anything. I didn't collect them to save them, to keep them in good condition. I just sort of had them to use. And it wasn't until Veve came along did I ever even think about collecting anything. It wasn't something I enjoyed to do. I didn't have any emotional attachment to anything. It wasn't like stamps or coins where people have those attachments to them and really enjoy collecting them. But now that kind of all changed. I collect sets now on Veve and really enjoy the process of doing so. I like finding out about the artists, the stories behind them, the comics, the reasons why people enjoy them, the collection size, why they're fun to collect, and so much more. And now I've started my own sort of physical collection. I've got my Todd McFarlane in the background here. I've got two Todd McFarlane boxes just in front of me, and I also have a Harley Quinn from season 2 that I matched up with my digital version on Veve. So it really has gone to show that my consumer behavior has really shifted in regards to what collecting is as a whole and what you enjoy to do and how you do it. Now, consumer behavior is a lot more complicated now than people probably think, or it was in the past. You know, in the beginning, people just needed the things that they needed to have in their day-to-day life. Ford would advertise their products on what the car does. It gets you from A to B, and that's as simple as it has to be. But now, we're just so exposed to everything that's going on in the world. Each little detail matters. What you see, how you smell, taste, texture, everything that is viewed is important to you as a consumer. So shifting consumer attitude and behavior is actually a lot more complicated than people think. We have beliefs and attitudes that are quite hard to shift. If you are solely focused on this one area for a very long time, it is quite hard to move that in another direction. So a company has to get the messaging right, the execution right, and more. And this is what I believe Veve has actually allowed a lot of people to do. Not only Veve, but probably a lot of other places. Topshot, OpenSea, Mutable, and quite a few others have been able to adapt the way people collect. Now granted, a lot of people are collecting right now as a financial investment. And physical collection is the same, but maybe people have more emotional attachment. And I believe Veve will be able to do that because they already have the biggest brands in the world. Therefore, that emotional attachment is already there. It's just collecting on another avenue. So what about the physical market then? Was it booming before NFTs and blockchain technology already came to it? Was there already a massive following? Has it decreased since digital NFTs and digital collectibles have come out? And how do we maybe see this going in the future? Is this going to play a big part together? Are they going to work as one in unison, or is one going to take over the other for what it actually represents? Let's look at a little bit more information on that. If we have a look here, it shows that collectible market size was estimated at around 412 billion in 2020 and is expected to reach 628 billion by 2031. And digital NFT market collectibles is the fastest growing segment with a CAGR of 14.2% during the forecast period, which is witnessing enormous growth, with some product segments acquiring as high as a 1,400% growth in a quarter, around 14 times the market. It really does go to show that the NFT segment, although hasn't reached the same equivalent as maybe what the physical collectible market has reached just as of yet, we really have seen a massive boom in this industry over the last maybe year or so now. Could be obviously other reasons for this growth that we've been seeing anyway, and it's probably for quite a lot of reasons, not only because of digital assets becoming more important in our everyday lives, but the internet has become more important. COVID happened. We're now on the verge of other geopolitical incidents. So It's really important to understand why internet sales and unique things online have begun to take the sort of stand as the number one place. This is where people are getting everything. We spend our lives on the internet, and this is just how we're able to establish who we are as consumers. This again is shown right here with the collectibles market trend in general, is that it has been increasing over the last few years globally, with significant rises due to growing economic conditions and emerging e-commerce platforms. With good economic times, usually people have more disposable income, therefore they're looking to spend it in certain areas where they can get some return on investment back with the disposable income. It actually says here, on the recommendation of financial advisors and experts, investors are investing around 5 to 10% of their portfolio into collectibles, and this is driven by capital appreciation, safe financial haven, and portfolio diversification. So I'm guessing there's more people who are actually looking to move further into this and genuinely be a part of it because they could see the potential gains that it could give to their capital. We have a little look at the NFT market here compared to 2021 and maybe what's going to be happening over the next 10 years or so, or 9 years at this point. The NFT market is highly fragmented in the current scenario as the novel method of trading collectibles. Many new companies have evolved in NFT authenticators along with e-commerce market companies such as nifties.com. Corporates from various sectors are entering into this domain, including music, media, entertainment, movies, sports, art, and many more. And France is witnessing budding of various NFT startups. For example, AIN, which is a certification company from virtual products ownership, has raised around 9 million euros in VC, further scarce. NFT-based fantasy football platform raised around 40 million euros. Asia is also witnessing this growth, with India, for example, that is witnessing evolution of companies, such as WazerX, that has announced a launch of an NFT marketplace in 2022. So it is shown here that their estimations for the NFT collectibles is actually going to be significantly higher by 2031, playing quite a big role to physical collectibles. And it's actually interesting here that they mention some leading NFT companies being the likes of Larva Labs, Top Shot, Dapper, and no mention at all of Veve. So the fact that it's not even on people's minds right now does go to show just how long we have in regards to this. They're talking about the millions that they're raising in order to do that. Veve are sometimes making that on one NFT drop alone. Really is a lot of room to grow here with things that can happen. Now they go on to the collectibles market. They talk about the music industry and how they've started to adopt it, how sports memorabilia have started to adopt it, as well as movie avatars. And we've already saw this, the James Bond poster, and we're most likely going to be seeing this in the future as well, alongside further things that will be happening. Now, if we go into this other website where it is discussed a little bit further about the growth and the overall growth rate of this industry between 2021 and 2028, it is really showing that this is looking to potentially grow from around 372 billion to 440 billion with its potential. We can see here what they're expecting of the growth of the market over the next coming years, and just the increase in sales that we've saw worldwide with arts and antiques from the market. Again, I think we're seeing this massive increase in price, not only due to COVID, but because people are still seeing the ability of making an increase in investment when they're doing so. And this new NFT blockchain technology still has the ability and a lot of room to grow for these people. It's also shown here that private collectors are now holding to raise 1.2 trillion during the pandemic. And according to some of these reports, the estimation of holds went up from 1 trillion to 1.2 trillion in the post-pandemic situation. And this is actually again in the rise and fall of physical auction sales, which actually fell between 40 and 60% during the pandemic. And now in Sotheby's with the auctions, 70% of the auctions in 2021 took place online. Digital access has also opened up the space to new demographics and income levels, and per estimates from auction houses, 40% of online buyers are new to the market. The majority of the first-time buyers are also younger than the average typical collector. Most collectors in general probably have a lot more income to spend. Someone like myself, I'm 23 years old. I'm probably not the average investor looking at these types of collectibles and actually investing my money into certain places. But because of the internet and the ease of use now, everyone can actually invest at whatever age they choose to do so once it's legal for them in their own country. And this is actually allowing us to move forward in seeing these types of returns for this. We can see the luxury index of collectible categories, what is now falling, what is increasing in price, and we're seeing that the alternative asset market is to grow to 14 trillion by 2023, 59% higher than 2021. Of course, this isn't the be all end all. This isn't fact because we're speculating here. This is again just like anything when people are speculating with prices and change and shifts, but it is interesting to see that both are complementing each other quite well. Both are speaking about the fact that assets are looking to grow. Research is showing this is the case. And we kind of are already seeing this play a part because big companies are now becoming a part of this digital NFT area. You've got the likes of Coca-Cola, Disney, Cartoon Network, DC, YouTube. They're all starting to take notice of this. They're putting money into this area. They're hiring people in this area, in this new Web3 space, this technology, to see what it is. And it does go to show, for me anyway, that a market share is there to be taken and they are looking to take their piece. So what about from a market point of view, from a consumer? Now I'm going to speak for myself in this front here. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this front. But I believe they will both complement each other very, very well. When Veve released Todd McFarlane Batman, that was the reason I wanted to get into Veve in the first place. Now again, I've never collected anything in my life, and you have to remember that my attitude for collecting was very dead set on, I want to live minimalism, I don't really care about collecting stuff, that isn't me. Now that completely shifted. So once I was actually able to acquire a Todd McFarlane Batman, I now have 3 physical statues when I only have 1 digital statue. And I've seen a lot of other people do the same. Now granted, this isn't only for Todd, and this has happened for quite a lot of other things. And you're even finding now that people are purchasing picture frames where they can put in their NFT and digital collectible technology so that they can have it on their wall. I believe the physical counterpart will actually complement them quite well on Veve, especially if groups form around them. So things like the partner statue, Todd McFarlane Batman, and maybe some of the other more sought after ones will complement each other well, and some of the artists should be thinking about this more. There's one we've already saw with Inked Eve, I believe, that is actually going to release a physical version of the one that's on Veve, and the only way for you to pre-order one is to actually have the Veve version. And this is something that I see happening time and time again as we progress. And it's really, really interesting to see that people are now marketing themselves in those both areas to potentially profit and expand their name further and their brand with what they're doing. If companies are smart about this, they're going to be able to tap into both markets with, as we saw here, the new markets of 43% people going in for the first time. And I've actually saw this happen quite a lot, not only in my comments on Twitter, where these investments within NFTs are their first ever investment ever. Now, granted, I would never want that to be my first investment ever, but it is the reality of the situation. Therefore, they're going to be getting smarter as time goes on and looking at other things that maybe more people have been seeing if they've been an investor for a longer time. Physical assets are going to play a part of that, and maybe that is going to be a part of the diversification if they manage to make good profits in this new blockchain technology. Over the next 10 years or so, I see NFTs becoming more prevalent in our industry. People are going to be collecting them more as you as a consumer are going to be able to share your identity as that. Your attitude is probably going to shift and you're maybe going to focus more so on the digital assets. We've saw this already in regards to digital comics, where their actual valuation over the last coming years has steadily increased because more people are reading digitally rather than physically. I now have cooler stuff in my background of my videos because I have an emotional attachment to the physical collection as well as the digital version. And I see this playing a part in a lot of people's future, especially if this investment plays out well for them. But what do you think about this digital collection versus physical collection? Do you think they're going to play well together, or do you think there's going to be quite a clash with the collectors who are already collecting physically and don't want to get into this area? From what I've found so far, it seems like the NFT and digital collectible era are actually more willing to accept the physical era of wanting to come in more than the physical want to accept actually going into this new space. So it's going to be interesting to see what your thoughts are on it. Are you new to this space, or have you been here for a while? What's your thoughts on it? Be sure to let me know down below. I know the video on the screen right now will be something you'll love to watch. Have a fantastic day.